I hope the fan isn't too loud.
If it's too loud, too bad, because...
I really, really hope so. My boobs are lopsided.
Well...
That's like, that's how it be out here.
Because the world is lopsided, that's why boobs are lopsided.
I think one of my straps is actually, like, looser, maybe. Like, I feel that.
They look the same.
This is weird. Okay. Hey. Is our fan too loud? Can someone say? Because, is the fan too loud, Calvin? Can you hear it? If you can hear it, it's too loud.
If you can hear me, clap twice.
Yes. But welcome to Insert Name Here, brought to you in full technicolor and living sound with the dulcet tones of the great Alejandra Tejeda.
That's me. I'm hot.
The cool, hot, sensual.
Calvin said it's loud.
Yeah, turn it down.
Oh, you're making me sweat.
Yeah, that's probably better. I love how dramatic the sound difference is.
Fucking fans.
But anyway, the sensual taste of the alto voice that is mine, Malachi Unique.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. And you know what? Today's a day, and to do things today is a choice. And we're gonna do them. So let's jump into local news. Kim Janey fired that nasty nigga who was nasty and abusive and touching people.
Allegedly.
Even though there's mad people who said so, and there was mad fucking
and he go to court and waste a lot of money and a lot of time.
There was bad separate accusations and whatnot, but whatever. So she finally fired that. I learned a new word for that. Oh damn! It was a word in a legal brief. It meant something. It was according to. It was basically something that said according to people that I've heard in legalese, and that's what I'm gonna start saying every time I make a claim that cannot be substantiated per se.
But
it's probably true.
I heard it through the grapevine.
Heard through the grapevine.
You're gone.
But
And on to this, today they asked Marty Walsh.
Yep, I was gonna go there.
They asked that man, Representative Bob Good. Where he's Bob Good from?
Virginia? Question mark.
I never looked up Representative Bob Good in my whole life. Yep, Virginia. Wow, very smart one. This one right here. His birthday's September 11th. I don't know what that means.
Hey, Bob. I wonder if he was in Congress during that. He was probably celebrating his birthday, and then
over. All right, back on topic. So he asked the Secretary of Labor, Marty Walsh, at a House hearing if he thinks he should resign because he ignored domestic violence allegations of former Commissioner White.
Ignored in quote unquotes,
And what he said was, I didn't ignore anything. I wasn't aware of the situation until after, and then he declined to say whether White and Gross are lying in their affidavits.
Okay, to be fair, police lie in affidavits all the time.
Police be lying.
However, Marty definitely, I gotta figure out this term. Because that man, I feel that there's no way he couldn't have known. I'll say. I personally feel that there's no way he couldn't have known about that. Because, everybody, the moment some people said his name, the next second, everybody's like, wait a minute, this man is a toucher question mark. That's a nasty nigga question mark.
Question mark? Ma'am, I don't know. Go ahead, Marty. Keep your job. Because whatever, but...
Anyway.
It's looking fishy. Sorry, I got thirsty. It's hot. Let's get on to the beef. Oh, no, wait. No. Still on this topic, actually. So Kim Janey said that she is going to start a nationwide search for the new commissioner. But... Wu pointed out and a few other people pointed out, it doesn't really make sense to do that, considering that the mayoral election is just a couple months away. We can just hold off with an interim commissioner until January when the new mayor takes over.
Right.
And they can do their own search and do their own appointing. Even Kim Janey can start a search And
yo,
she can waste that time, start a search, and then
y'all like 9:41, huh? 9:41 is the good time to start, huh? 9:41, guys, really? All right, whatever, fuck it. All right, let's go on to the but yeah, but the question, I honestly feel like they should just leave it be. But I think we should abolish the police. So you probably don't want to ask me my opinion on this situation, but I think she should just leave it be until somebody is elected, because like, it's just gonna be like the next person, because nobody she can appoint is permanent, like technically. Even I'm not even sure a police commissioner she can appoint would be permanent.
I wouldn't take a job from an interim mayor,
like so
that the next mayor can be like, yeah, sorry, I didn't appoint you, so, or just not support you,
right?
Because why would I support you? I didn't appoint you. You could be a bad pick. Our personalities don't vibe. I wouldn't take this job. Like, if I'm one of those people in this nationwide search, I'm saying no. Also, just this city council, mayor, this whole thing is a big mess. I would not want to walk into, also with the BPD, like, it's a trifecta of a shit show. Like, all three areas there.
The oh yeah, speaking of Dennis White, his wife was implicated in the freaking, his former wife was implicated in the guy, or his current wife? His former wife, who currently works for the BPD, I believe, was implicated in that overtime scandal, which is just, I just feel like it's chef's kiss. Like, no, that's perfect.
It's
like the BPD is the mafia, dead ass. I'm telling you guys, they're the mafia.
Is this the look?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, just making sure.
I got my hat though.
Okay, just making sure.
It actually matches with the vibe.
There was no secret way for me to ask, was this the look?
It actually matches with the vibe.
It does. Anywho, so that's a thing. And there was that article this week. At this point, I don't even care to know their names, what's happening. Every single week since like January, there's been an article about a police officer committing overtime fraud.
They all
stealing from the evidence.
My God, they all did it. Like I firmly, I think if you didn't commit overtime fraud at the BPD, you're among the minority in that, because I'm pretty sure at least they were all doing that court thing where they were walking documents over. Yeah. They were all doing that. Come on, no way. Like, because if you're not doing that, it's like you're missing out. People are probably looking at you weird if you're not.
You pussy.
They're probably like, what are you telling people? Who are you snitching? You're snitching, aren't you?
Why do you say on your timesheet you went to court for 15 minutes? That's not how long you were there. And you're like, but boss, that's how long I was there. And then, I arrested somebody down the street a couple of minutes later. You want me to lie?
Yes. They want you to anyway. But so I guess we could jump on to the drama going on in
the big beef of the night.
In the city council or whatever.
How does one even start? Okay, so they had a meeting today. That's where it starts.
So yeah, city council, they be having hearings or whatever.
That's a lie. That's not where it starts.
Okay, go on.
The plot line goes to in January when Kenzie Bach.
Yeah, true.
So the plot line starts when Kim Janey became the city council president, when everybody basically kind of knew that Marty was going to accept a position with Biden.
In the Biden administration. And Kenzie Bach was like, yo, is it like a conflict of... Who said, was it a conflict of interest? Is that Anissa? Or was it Kenzie? One of them was like, is it a conflict of interest to have...
Now I can't remember. Dang, I have to look back on one of our... I can't remember. But no, this was when they were just appointing her as a city council president. Kenzie Bach was basically the deciding factor on whether Kim Janey or what's his name, Matt O'Malley, would become the city council president. Mm-hmm. So in a way, she's the reason Kim Janey is mayor right now, which is very interesting. So that's the start of the story, because today is when the drama started. Now go into the drama.
All right, so what happened was like that today they were, they be doing meetings or whatever, and Lydia Edwards introduced a resolution stating that, like, the resolution was about being able to have a vote at any time to change the city council president. And everybody voted yes except for Ricardo, who voted no, and Julia Mejia, who voted present. And I don't know, what did Julia say about that? I assume it was because she didn't know.
She wanted more information.
Right, that's what I assumed.
Which is honestly what I think everybody should have voted that way.
Because I have I understand in theory, like, I understand, like, you know, making sure that there's a clear, but I feel like there is a clear limit on the power of, anyway, but I guess I understand in theory, I understand the reasoning of it, but I just feel like it's one of those things that's a slippery slope, because, like, when like, for no cause, like, when do they just start voting arbitrarily? Like, when do they just start calling elections arbitrarily because they just don't like whoever the fuck? Was it like, oh, it has to be X amount of city councilors agree, but what if it just becomes like fucking party politics? What if they're like trying to coup the shit, bro? What if it just becomes like, you know, little cliques or whatever, and they're like, oh, today we're gonna depose with this city council president and replace it with this person, and then, like, it's just a bunch of infighting. They're already freaking useless. You know, they already don't get shit done, and they're not able to do much. I feel like, I don't think this is more democratic. This doesn't feel more democratic to me. It'd be one thing if they would let us vote for city council president. Like, it doesn't feel more democratic to me that, you know, for them just to be able to call an election at any time. Because I'm like, and, like, people have said, like, yeah, it's supposed to be a check on Kim Janey and showing, like, you know, we still have the power over you or whatever. But I'm like, is interim mayor not a check? And she's interim mayor. She can't do shit. Like, I feel like we shouldn't be passing policy for, like, just that, like, if you make a resolution, that's actually making a policy within the fucking council, a rule or whatever, like, just for optics, just because you want to just be, like, I feel like you should write an op-ed if you're trying to just, you know, give somebody a little push. I feel like you should write a tweet. You should go on fucking WCVB or some shit. Like, I don't think you just jump into making city council policy in a fucking city where the charter is already bullshit. It's already ridiculous. Like, that's the problem. If we want to talk about why we feel like there's not checks, why we feel like there is weird distribution of power or whatever the fuck, that's all in the fucking city charter. Like, these stupid, all this shit is fucking theater. That political theater shit, I think that's bullshit, bro. Like, why? That's like I said, if you want that fanfare, to make a fucking tweet, my nigga. Don't spend this is what they spend time debating. This is what
they spent time arguing on this.
And I'm like, literally, just fucking, all you gotta do is be like, listen, interim mayor ain't the mayor. You want to be spicy, like, but niggas don't want to be spicy. They want to be pussy. Like,
just say it with your chest. Say you don't. It's very easy. Say you don't support Kim Janey. It's not like she's gonna have her seat back at the end of the year. It's not like she's in the top 2 for this mayoral race. Like, it's very easy. Say it with, like, let's just say it with your chest. Say Kim Janey is not being an effective mayor as an interim mayor, and I don't support her as mayor.
And I don't support the things she do. And half of it is because of that fucking whatever that shit is called. Whatever that thing is, it has something to do with the budget and putting how the budget is on the ballot for voters. You have to look it up.
Somebody referenced, what is this? Referencing Janey recently signing off on a ballot question that would ask voters to give the city council more power over the city's purse strings. Is it about that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, that feels like a step towards fucking democracy, right? Towards useful democracy. Fucking, like, that makes the city council more useful.
Yes.
Fucking,
I don't see how
doing this stupid shit about being able to vote for city council president whenever.
Like, I just see that
somebody's gonna come in my fucking shit and explain it to me, and I'm gonna be like, I guess.
I still don't understand. I'm still very confused. I had somebody try and explain to me. I'm still confused. Like, it does not give me the reasoning I want.
Because the way it was explained, I'm like, that just sounds like political theater to me, and I think that's bullshit. And I'm kind of with Ricardo. Like, I don't know, like, with what he said or whatever was, you know, like, for any cause, basically.
Facts. It just says that at any time, for any reason, on a whim, the council can try to remove the president who they already elected. I actually do agree with that. So it's Ricardo
disagree with that
Arroyo's statement.
And I'm like, I guess, like, I just feel like this will be, I feel like in theory it makes sense. You're like, okay, so if somebody's infected or shitty, you can remove them. But in practice, it's just gonna be partisan, not partisan, but you know what I mean. It's gonna be fucking cliquish. It's gonna be by fucking neighborhood. And it's gonna be by.
The city's already like that. The city council's already like that. Like, the fact that Kenzie Bach was the deciding factor in Kim Janey, it was like 6-6. Like, they did not know. They were split on who was supposed to become the city council president. Like, I feel like this is just going to be a waste of time. I just see it as like a constant. Every couple months we'll see a new chapter president because the chapter president. Whoa,
yes.
Whoa, my work life impeding my regular life. A new city council president because they're beefing, they're debating. Every couple terms we'll see a new president, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I do believe the city council presidents should kind of function through people because sometimes people are in their positions too long, but. This is not like one of those instances where I'm like, also, this isn't my concern. Like, the city council president is not really like what Andrea Campbell was in. Look at like where she is in this mayoral race. Like,
Tito Jackson was city council president a bunch.
So. But what do we know? You know, what do we know?
But
it just seems like a waste of time, and y'all could have been talking about 10 other things before you could have talked about this or talked about. I don't know. It's just it seems like it seems so weird. I'm still trying to. I would like Wu and Anissa and who else? And Andrea to explain why they voted for it, because to me this doesn't appeal to be something of transparency and accountability. It seems more of like accountability through threatening.
I don't know,
and
like,
that's not accountability. That's just threatening.
But like, what is the threat?
To just take you off your seat.
And like.
And it's very specific.
And like, what do they want
Janey
her to
right
do about it? Like, what's the demand? Like, that's the part that I'm not getting. Like, because like as interim mayor, but as whatever the fuck she's called, like, the powers of a mayor, they're not there, and she it's not winning her like favors, you know.
The simple powers that she already has used has gotten her more enemies and non-supporters than it has gotten her supporters. So I'm very confused on. This is my confusion, is that Kim Janey's not even being looked upon favorably right now. I didn't need the city council to suddenly rally against her to prove me that. And if this is just beef between the city council and the mayor, then everybody in this situation looks like an idiot.
And also somebody tweeted that the city council president should only be one of the at-large candidates. And I'm like, no. That, first of all, that's a very small pool of. That's only like what, 4 of the however many is on the city council.
I'll never know. 13?
Is it? Yeah. Well, that's because 13 is already not that many.
Yes.
So only of those 4 people, no. Then no, like. That doesn't make any sense.
I feel like whenever things like this come about, people just spit out ideas like, yes, you know what? Make it one of the 4 at-larges. Guys, think about the 4 at-larges that we have right now. Wu, Anissa, Julia, and who's the 4th?
Frank.
Yo, who's
no,
the
it's
4th?
not him. It's. Oh, freaking 5-car motherfucker!
Oh, he's the 4th?
He's at large, isn't he?
What's his name? 5-car Flaherty?
Michael Flaherty?
Oh.
Is that his name? Michael? Is that his name?
His name is Michael, please. He is at large, thank God. Good job. A+. Okay, so think of those 4 people. Please, Julia.
It would have been
Anissa.
Anissa been trying forever.
She has been trying forever. Oh my God. You guys want Anissa? Please. You have to understand that with our at-larges, this is how it always goes. 2 of the motherfuckers are from the white areas, and 2 of them are just the others, the mixies. We have the POCs and the blacks.
Wait,
like, that's okay, what we get.
I'm like, who is the other one?
Like, that's how it works. So I don't know if you want to limit yourself just to that, but if you want to,
city council. We need to change the city charter. The city council doesn't have power in this city. The mayor has too much power. We all know this. The executive branch has too much power.
You know what's confusing to me? Not confusing, but necessarily doesn't make sense to me about Lydia Edwards' movements within city council is that she's always been very pro like changing the city charter and making changes to it. But I feel like whenever there is like a change to be made, or whenever she presents a resolution, I feel like it goes against what she like mentions when she talks about changing. I feel like it doesn't go together. They don't align. And I'm very confused, and I need somebody to explain. I need her to explain, because I never see her talk really, to explain these things. I need her to explain how it's going to work. I need her to explain how in 10 years this won't set a bad precedent for other city councils.
I think it's just going to be a lot of tribalism, like, but whatever. I don't give a fuck. Electoral politics is bullshit. It's never going to change anything. It's not going to fix anything, so it's whatever. Anyway, let's talk about this poll real quick, and then we can talk about fucking John Santiago.
All right, this poll was, where'd it go? I'm blind today, guys. It's a bad situation.
All right, so Emerson polled Boston residents or whatever. They asked him, do you view the phrase Black Lives Matter positively or negatively? And Wu supporters, 81% viewed it positively, 15% viewed it negatively. Kim Janey supporters, 79% viewed it positively, 18% viewed it negatively. And Anissa Anansi supporters,
Anansi the spider,
22% viewed it positively and 66% viewed it negatively. And like, I don't know if this is surprising to people, but it wasn't very surprising to me. I will say, I think it's funny to imagine that 18% of Kim Janey's voters don't think her life matters. I would think it's funny. Like, obviously, I know that's not what it means, and they're it's Antifa, or it's riots or whatever. But it's just funny to imagine that they hear like the phrase Black Lives Matter, as in Black Lives Matter, and they're like, I have no negative feeling. I got negative vibes toward that.
I do not agree with
I don't vibe with that, their lives mattering thing. And you know what? I support this black lady, but her life mattering, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask of me. You want me to vote for her or not? I could do one or the other. It can't be both.
Support Black Lives Matter and support a black woman? Whoa.
Wow, slow down. Just slow down.
Bud. You're asking for too much.
And then Anissa, I'm like, duh. Like,
and it's just, the veil has finally been lifted to some degree for people that have not been paying attention to the fact that Anissa is not a progressive, and Anissa is not.
Who thought? Kim Janey is not a progressive.
Okay, but it's because, remember 2016, was that the year for the Suffolk DA election?
It was 2018.
2018. Wow, time is weird for my brain. The ACLU
right, their
forum was just
what a difference.
The memory passed by like 2 days ago.
Oh, I wish I could have saw it.
It was on Snapchat.
Oh, it was on Snapchat.
Yes.
Oh, I did
see it.
I think I did see it. Shut up. Facebook kicked me off. Let me back on. I sent them my ID again. Now I know they're storing it.
Okay, anywho. So, around that time, a lot of people in Boston were specifically calling themselves progressives.
It was hilarious. When Linda Champion said, I'm a progressive because I'm not divisive. Who told you that's what a progressive was, ma'am? Progressives are, in fact, the most divisive, I think, because nobody agrees with us. All the establishment doesn't agree. Ma'am, that killed me.
That was an interesting time.
She said, I'm progressive because I'm not divisive. And then that's when we all knew the word progressive had no meaning.
No meaning at all, which is why people like Anissa can get by appearing to be progressive, but it's not at all.
I don't even... And what appearance is she? The only appearance is that, like, she says it. In what other way does she behave as a progressive?
People are taking that word at face value. They say you're a progressive, that means you'll support progressive values. And that's the thing about city council stuff, is that people don't look into what their city councilors actually vote on. They don't look at what their city councilors actually support. So you can go around thinking, oh yeah, Anissa, probably a great progressive woman, probably supports great progressive policies, and then you look at what she does and you're like, oh wait.
I'm like,
the bitch don't do none of that. Interesting. Okay. Freaky.
I don't know why.
But like Melissa said, the Janey part, very interesting. Support a black woman, does support Black Lives Matter. The Anissa, as I wrote, Anasia,
Anasi, I think you wrote.
There's 2 A's,
You wrote
2 S's.
Anasi.
Okay. I thought it was nice, a nice flair. I'm gonna write it different every week whenever it's there. But and this poll is also from April, so I'd be interested to see how if anything's changed, what's changed. These polls are interesting because they don't really show anything. We just like to see what people say on a little poll we send to their phone, and then we're like, yeah, we know so much about the voters.
I wish I asked the voters like something about something that mattered. I wish I like asked the voters about like.
How many have I taken? Important. I think I've taken at this point 2 or 3 of these like Mass Poly, Boss Poly polls. And what I've found is that they really are not asking the things that I think are truly affecting a lot of citizens in Boston. Residents in Boston, like there's no real focus on like the Mass Ave situation, on like youth homelessness, violence, none of these issues that are like very present that people complain about every fucking day on those neighborhood groups. Those aren't present in the polls. Those questions aren't there. And it's very interesting to see them not appear because every fucking day I have people complaining about it, but every day I don't see it on those polls. So it's very interesting to see the differences between those two things.
Anyway, John Santiago released.
John Santiago wants us to watch his new let me think.
It
CBS
does look like
NBC?
It does look like CBS to
okay.
me.
Yes.
Although
it was giving me Amsterdam.
Although it was giving me some Chicago Med.
Yes.
It was giving me a little Chicago Med, Chicago Fire,
one.
Chicago. I think that's on NBC.
Yes, it was giving me New Amsterdam.
Chicago PD. It was giving me a little because he's talking about how he was an army captain and a fucking ER doctor and a state rep. It was really giving me like Wattpad at 14 actually because I'm like the way he's describing himself. I'm like this sounds made up. Like I know it's all true, but it sounds like bullshit. He's like, and he is a.
Do you know what his uncle died of? He said his uncle died of
from a pandemic. Was it swine flu? What he died of?
That's what I was wondering. I felt really bad because I wanted to Google it, but I was like, I can't Google. Why did John Santiago's uncle die?
I don't even think. What would Google even tell you? Would they tell you? I don't know. I'm like, what are you talking about, sir? No, but the video itself is just hilarious. It's mad dramatic, and it's mad like, it's like, I'm like, I feel like he must.
His uncle died of AIDS. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That makes more sense.
Like, yeah, it does.
Cause I was like, what did this man die of?
I feel like John Santiago must be like playing a joke on us or something.
This is
because he can't be dead. He can't be serious about this shit for real, can he?
Did you see the other part that he used a picture?
Yeah, he stole somebody's.
Oh my god.
He didn't get permission before using a picture that somebody took of him or whatever I don't even know if it was of him. It might have been of something else, but. I do know that I do have the video. I'm considering whether to play it. I'm not giving him a view because I downloaded it myself.
I like this girl. She didn't go to YouTube. She said, I'm gonna clip it off Twitter.
You want to see the real toll of
wow, I wonder if you can hear it. Let me pause. I think you probably can because I think last time they were able to.
I can check. I don't know.
Alright, I'm gonna press play.
One second. Oh no.
We should get some headphones one day. But yeah, no, this video was just fucking hilarious. I'm like, he was like, and I'm like, I don't really think you should probably talk about how you're all these things at once because it just makes you look like you're not. And now you're running for mayor, and it just makes you look like you're not good at things. All right, I'm pressing play. Oh wait, is it gonna work? Hold up.
Look at us trying to be too technological.
You want to see the real toll of violence and poverty and injustice? Try working midnight shifts in the ER. Want motivated? Try becoming a doctor after one epidemic took your uncle, only to save someone else's in another. Want tough? Try defeating an entrenched politician and deploying overseas.
Like, this is so dramatic.
Got a pulse on Boston and its problems. Literally, try John
was justice spelled correctly?
ER
Wait a minute. Hold on, I might have to play this again, y'all.
Right
because I'm pretty sure justice was not spelled correctly.
Choosing violence right now.
I've muted it. I did mute it. It goes away. I don't know why.
That's rude. This video, it makes me want to buy a Ford F-150. I saw that somebody else had said this joke before I said it, but
I really I really have to see that justice again. I'm trying to figure out if I was cooked. It might have just been shifting to like spelling his name or something, so it looked like it's. I really don't think. First of all, also the announcer they had, it sounded very Republican.
Yes, it did. Yeah, justice is fine.
Yeah, but yes. Anyway, it was.
That shit was a mess. I don't think I've ever seen a kid like that's.
I thought he was kidding me.
That looks like a Parks and Rec like campaign.
Like I thought he was like, are you like, bro? It's like a fucking.
Is this a parody? Is this a
like
sitcom?
He's pranking us? There's no way John Santiago. I don't understand why he wanted to be mayor. I don't understand why he thinks he's gonna be mayor. Like, he literally was like, I got out a 35-year incumbent. Okay, but you're leaving that seat.
Yes, you're leaving that seat.
And nobody liked you. And nobody liked you. Like, what's wrong with you? He's like, yeah, I got out this black man that's been in there for 30 years. Not that he was great. I'm not saying Byron Rushing wasn't an establishment motherfucker. I'm just saying that, like, in terms of the optics, how is it supportive to John Santiago? Like, I'm not. Who do y'all be hiring? Like, who does y'all fucking like consulting? Like, who do y'all fucking who's on your kitchen cabinet, my nigga? Like, this, I gotta know who's on people's kitchen cabinet because it must be somebody cooked. Like,
like me watching this video, yeah, you can't release this. I'm sorry, you might have.
Like, I should have watched it in Spanish. It's probably worse in Spanish somehow.
I guess we go look up who the expenditure is to see if we can tell.
And see who he probably hasn't reported it yet. But let's see who he worked. Let's see if we can see who he worked with.
Yeah, his consultant.
Honestly, we could. I want to see if he put up who filmed the video for him too.
That video was quite bad. Oh, I got Okay, Andrea, I have some critiques from the committee to elect you. I don't know which committee it is because there are a couple committees that are spending a lot of ad money. I got an ad for her on Instagram. It looked like they made it on Canva, and it had like superhero type imagery on it.
You should have screenshotted it.
I forgot. I looked at it and I said, "This is one of the worst ads I've seen in a long time," and I don't know what's happening, but this is what's happening.
I want expenditures. He hasn't reported. Well, he reported. You did something at Best Buy. What you doing at Best Buy?
He said technology.
Square Boston. Ooh, audio rentals.
Consulting.
Compliance consulting, huh? They're shitty. Gotta tell you. I don't know if maybe it's just John Santiago that's shitty, but it's one of them. Either compliance consulting is shitty or John Santiago is shitty.
I haven't seen somebody try and push themselves so hard on social media and be so bad.
I'm like, even John Barros does better than that.
It's just so bad. It doesn't work. It doesn't come.
Like John Santiago, he's a cornball. That's why. It doesn't help that he looks corny. Like, bro, I'm like, literally, like.
His whole like aesthetic, his whole story, it never seems genuine. It never seems like he's somebody that you want to be mayor. Why is he making me miss Marty Walsh and Marty Walsh talking about him being an alcoholic? Why was that more entertaining than John Santiago?
The only good thing about John Santiago is that he's not gonna win. That's the only good thing about John Santiago.
No, and you know that's a bad thing because we have to talk about his dumb ass so much this past couple months.
I literally, I'm telling you, we're keeping. First of all, we keeping John Barros alive because I think you scroll on Twitter, nobody is talking about John Barros on any given day. And John Santiago is like a constant like if only Dana DePlano had stayed in the race, John Santiago could have some heat taken off of him. Because it's just like he's just everybody's butt monkey now because he's a fucking joke. Like, come on.
He can't go a month without
it's Boston
going
John.
Wrong.
It's Boston John. You look like a joke, bro. You're so I don't understand how he thinks being a fucking quitter is supposed to turn on the voter. Like, oh, you stopped doing this job to do this job. Like, you stopped being a doctor to be a politician
in the middle of the pandemic.
Then you went back or whatever.
I don't understand.
No, he went back. He didn't stop in the middle of the
stopped
pandemic.
now.
Oh, well, yeah, he stopped now.
He stopped a couple months ago.
Right, yeah, right. He is stopped now.
It's still the middle of the pandemic for me. At least for me. Pero,
Anyway.
perspective.
Anyway, also
a very bad video.
Also, yeah, Sonia Chang Diaz. On to the next thing.
Also making a potentially very bad video.
Sonia Chang Diaz.
The
shoes.
Flats, yes.
Okay, she was wearing a blue suit and gold shoes. She's running for governor. Blue gold flat shoes. I'm like, everything was cool.
Could have given me a little kid heel.
She could have gave me something.
She wasn't giving.
She could have gave me like 2 inches.
You know what's funny is I have to figure out where it was filmed because I saw people setting up like film gear.
It looked like right in front of the fucking Boys and Girls Club. It looked like next to Nubian Square. Did it not?
I saw somebody recording something around my house area a couple days ago.
Maybe I'm cooked. Maybe it didn't look like that, but I thought it looked like that right outside of the fucking.
That is also a general Boston look,
right outside of the damn.
Happening.
Whatchamacallit. Anyway, but that video is about to be funny when it's released. She's definitely running for governor.
There's no doubt.
And she should. I mean, she might as well. I mean, who else is gonna do it? Who else has a chance? No, it's not. It does look like near your house.
Yeah.
It looks like near the near the Dollar Tree, kind of like the further down. Yeah.
Oh, it's by the Hernandez. Where's the Hernandez?
Is that a school?
Yeah. It's in Roxbury. Where?
Is that up on the hill? No. Oh, what? That's near. So I was closer.
Yes. Somebody else is filming something by my house then.
That's
creepy.
Near.
I need to see better where this Hernandez is. Oh, in Eggleston.
I'm like, I see those yellow brownstones,
Yes. But, so she's filming a campaign video. This is after, a couple weeks after people were trying to draft her into becoming governor, or to running for governor. Honestly, the progression for her, if she stays longer in her position, I feel like ultimately somebody will give her the like.
Well, it doesn't.
Okay,
she's not. She's not popular. She is not popular in Congress. I mean, in the state legislature, she is not a popular character. Her voters, they like her enough, I suppose.
Yeah, they like her because
we like her enough.
She generally supports progressive policies. Big advocate for education. Big advocate for a bunch of state issues that lots of people love. Criminal justice reform, But I'm like, in terms of like her colleagues, they do not like that lady. Mostly because she like broke chain of command and shit. And also some Boston politics is so dirty. There's like mad it's grimy
interpersonal shit for other reasons that people have feelings about it that I'm not gonna say because I can't remember that phrase that was in the legal document. So I won't say.
Look, if you overstep somebody once, it's beef for life in this city. It don't make sense because it'd be beef for life, and they'll like block actual policies that will help the people of Massachusetts. But that's their problem. That becomes our problem.
Also, a couple weeks ago, forgot to report on this, but Andrea, I think was the only candidate. I don't know if anyone else has in the the preceding weeks, moved on this issue, but she was one of the few was the only candidate to like
call out Pride?
Yeah, call out like the Boston Pride Committee because they're like super racist and shit, and like folks were a lot, LGBTQ folks of color were asking people to like fucking.
Because I think they were gonna have
stop
a forum
supporting Pride. Yeah, they're
like
doing a
sort.
mayoral. They were doing a mayoral forum. Did it happen? It was. I think it was supposed to be on the 7th.
Please, there have been so many mayoral forums happening that at this point just don't have anymore.
I think it was supposed to be on the 7th. I didn't see anything, but because I did sign up for the fucking emails to get them forum shits, but yeah. So she stepped on in front and was like, yeah, fuck that, fuck racism.
Facts, period.
And I agree. I wish some other candidates would. Michelle Wu, what you doing? But yes, that was good of her. And also, there will be Raise Up Massachusetts has was it Raise Up?
Yeah, it is Raise Up.
Raise Up Massachusetts.
That's what I was doing the texting for.
Yep. Raise Up Massachusetts has is hopefully getting the millionaire tax vote on the ballot. I mean the millionaire tax.
If it was interesting because of my job, we talked about it the other day. So this is like a couple of years in the making because I had to go through 2 separate sessions to get put on the ballot statewide, and so it's gonna be really cool to see that this is a change to our tax code so that we can tax millionaires. It
would be like a 4% tax on some shit for millionaires. And me personally, I'm not a millionaire. So
yeah.
Even if I were, I believe I would vote for it, but I'm not. So.
I still think it's gonna be funny that they're just gonna spend millions to stop from paying millions.
Yeah.
One would think you could just
give us our damn tax money. Also, it's probably gonna get to the Mass State Legislature, and they're gonna fucking murder it somehow behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, if it passes, yeah.
Because that's what they've done with a lot of ballot initiatives. Unless it can make them money, like the marijuana thing. Marijuana can make them money. Everything else, they're gonna like murder it behind the scenes. It's kind of like what's going on in national news right now. But we're gonna talk about BPS. And to wrap up our local
even
shits.
Just on this, I don't really think this fair tax thing is gonna pass. So
people don't like the word tax.
No, and we're already Taxachusetts or whatever the hell we're called.
It's funny because but that's the problem is that like millionaires don't pay their fair share.
Yes, but people will see it.
Rich people don't pay their fair share.
As we have
people
learned,
are cooked.
People think millionaires getting taxed means that they will get taxed.
People are cooked, okay? Listen, these people need to pay because, like, look, think about the income inequality. We're the state with some of the highest income inequality in the country in terms of the distance between rich and poor. Like, we can stand to close the gap, like a little bit, 4%. I think we can stand to close the gap 4%. Like we talk about again. Let's talk about schools. Like, let's talk about funding for schools. Let's talk about homelessness, let's talk about housing, let's talk about all these things, the MBTA. Like, this little bit of revenue would be a huge difference. I mean, and not that we already don't have revenue, that we're using fucked up shitty ways.
We're using it properly.
Whatever, still. Anyway, so BPS, let's talk about how BPS is trying to have the kids dying in the heat in the schools or whatever. Like, y'all trying to have us in here in this room.
About, like, being on drugs where the person melts their brain, cooks like an egg?
Yes.
You want to cook a kid like an egg? Just send them to a Boston public school right now.
See, the problem is, like, when I was, at the end of the school year, you barely go, and you do the standardized test, but, like, it's usually done in, like, May, so it's, like, slightly cooler, and then by June, you're just, like, they just have you, like, sharecropping and stuff outside, so... like, I think we have to get to that point because it's hot, bro. It's fucking so hot inside those buildings. Like, if I had to be in BLA, like, because it's not as, like, it's been steadily getting, like, hotter and colder for these past years or whatever. If I had to be in BLA at these times, when it's really, like, regularly, like, 95 fucking degrees and humid, like, take a standardized test.
If something would have had to happen, I would have fainted at school. This heat.
To take a standardized test. To take the fucking MCAT.
Also, to think about, okay, for me personally, I got a broken ass window. I don't like to put an AC in it, so I didn't. I was just dying, and I barely slept for 2 days straight. Imagine going to school on Monday to go take a standardized test after barely sleeping for 2 days.
You're gonna be hot. You're gonna be starving because they don't serve you enough food at lunch.
And because you didn't sleep, you're gonna be hungry too.
And you know what? I really think, like,
they just really want proof that kids didn't learn during this year. Jesus.
So they can say, and standardized testing isn't proof that kids didn't learn either.
It's just proof for them. It's proof for them so that they can continue to push their narrative that, like, Boston public schools are doing their job. I guess it's very distracting.
And I will say, one Boston public school did its job because we're sitting here right now telling you all this shit. Thank you, Mr. Monstein.
Facts.
Thank you, Mr. Eisen.
Thank you, Mr. Monstein.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire.
You know what I thought about the other day? I was talking to Esther about how.
Thank you, Miss Flaherty.
About how this is a tangent, but how there's a certain percent of like BLA people that don't have a grasp of like post Reconstruction because of the way BLA threw away history books and was like, well, we'll have iPads and these little things and or we'll have these primary sources.
Only primary. Listen, as a historian, like primary sources are very important. When you're an advanced fucking historian, when you're learning when you need to know this happened around the late 1870s, like. And you don't need a primary source book. You don't need to read some of these long ass letters. They're not even talking about the event. Those primary source books they had us in 9th grade for Mr. Monstein's class. Those ones were the worst because they weren't even talking about like the shits. They would just be letters from people. I'm like, I don't give a fuck what Thomas Jefferson is saying to his wife. I don't care. This is not even about the damn Constitution. Like, what the hell? This has nothing to do with it. Like, but I mean, my thing, like people need to understand why it's important to learn history. I just even tweeted about this today. Like, the fact that we look at even fairly recent history through through rose-colored glasses. Like when people talk about like, see, today people act like marriage is all about money, or women are all about money, or women only marry that only want to get with men for money. I'm like, literally, like, that was the only reason to marry a man for like hundreds, thousands of years, I'll say. In a lot of places, most places, maybe every place, very few places where people are like, yeah, I'm in love with this person. Especially not as a rich person. Like, come the hell on. You really think, bro? You really think these fucking and these people also, let's be clear, because these are the same people who think that it was normal for 13-year-olds to get married all the time, and it was not for when you think about modern history, like, it was not normal anytime in when the United States existed for a 13-year-old or a 14-year-old to get married. Like, that was not common. It wasn't illegal, but it was not common. And like, I just think like the history is important because we see the effects of how differently history is taught across this country. We see the effects of that. Like,
we see them kids that don't be knowing nothing. Not even kids, adults that come out and don't know a single lick about, like, the after effects of slavery, the fact that people were enslaved into the 60s. Like, people don't know.
And then I'm like, definitely that Reconstruction, because in general, I feel like that Reconstruction era is really glossed over until you reach like college level history, and it's
one of the most crucial eras of American history. It's
very important to talk about that because it doesn't make sense why, like, if you're not a person who gives a fuck about history, it doesn't make sense how we went from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement. Basically, and that's how they basically talk about it. They talk about the Civil War, then World War II, because Archduke Franz Ferdinand, fuck him. Civil War, World War II, and then they start fucking talking about the Civil Rights Movement. If we were going through American history, whatever. And I'm like, they didn't even talk about the Spanish-American War. They don't talk about Puerto Rico, Hawaii. They don't talk about those things as
it's like footnotes, like, this year we annexed Hawaii. Like,
you're trying to figure out like where the hell Hawaii came from. Like, the way that history is taught is at least from what I can tell in Boston, because I don't think it's any different at any other school in Boston. From what I can tell, is that I learned about World War II like 7 times.
7 times?
I learned about the Holocaust so many times. It's very important. I learned about the Holocaust so many every time. This is what we did. We would talk about fucking Magellan, and we would talk about them niggas. We would talk about those motherfuckers and how they came over here, Amerigo Vespucci and all them niggas. They would come. We'd talk about that. We'd talk about the Puritans and them motherfuckers and Jamestown, all that shit. We talk about all that shit up to the Civil War. Sometimes we go into the Civil War. Some years we might get into actually talking about the Civil War. We'll never go past this. We'll never. The Civil War is done. Okay, that's it.
Look, the Civil War.
Go on to the 1900s.
Are you ready? 1 page, and then began Reconstruction era.
It failed. On to the next page. And World War II.
Yeah, World War One. No, you get another page is World War One.
Somebody shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The U.S. didn't really get involved in that one. World War II. Well, we didn't really get involved in that one. Hitler was bad. Then Japan bombed us. Then we bombed Japan. It's over. That's how they describe these historical events. And then the Civil Rights Movement, Martin Luther King came and said, everybody needs to be peaceful. My little children, they want to hang out with white children. And I like white children.
No violence.
And I like white children.
No violence.
And I want them to talk to white children and voting sometimes. And, nice. Let's be nice to everybody.
Be nice.
And then racism was over.
I know black. That's how they really want you walking out of BPS thinking, like, this is not BPS necessarily, but this is how they want you think walking out of school.
Just American public education system.
It's just wild, but
that's not, and that was critical race theory, by the way, what I just went through.
Oh no, I wanted to bring up critical race theory because first of all, I had heard of it, but never really like looked into it because it wasn't a critical.
But it's funny, critical race theory. It's very self-explanatory, that title. It's literally about the way racism affects. Like, you spit on me a little bit.
Sorry. I was like, what's wrong with you?
It's literally about the way racism affects, life, and race affect life.
I said, but it's not for kids talk about it in my life.
But it's not for kids. Like, it's not even for like regular people. It's like if you're a fucking sociologist or you're a fucking in college
critical
historian.
Race theory.
It's critical theory. Just those two words. Just ignore the race part. Anything critical theory is not for like a 5-year-old. It's not for like a 5th grader.
Why are you gonna teach my 5-year-old critical race theory? You're not supposed to.
Bro, learning about slavery is a critical race theory, bro. It just happened, bro.
Oh, something that really sparked when we were talking about history is that it's almost in response to the 1619 project, but Texas is launching
the Texas project.
History project.
We didn't finish talking about BPS because we have to talk about the committee shit.
Oh yes.
But yes, Texas. That was funny. That was hilarious. I'm like, it's very funny. You teach about Texas because all y'all did was fail. Because are y'all an independent country? No.
Yes, the 1836 project, which promotes patriotic education and ensures future generations understand Texas values. And my thing is, the 1619 project is not about promoting, like, black power. It's literally about history, just history, American history. I can't remember who tweeted it, but somebody tweeted, it's very funny to watch them say, oh, you can't rewrite history, you can't write history the way you want to, and then turn around and say, hey, we're gonna
literally rewrite history. Like, and they're not telling the truth. That's the difference. Like, they literally say it's about patriotism. 1619 project isn't about hating white people. It isn't about black power. It isn't about, like, it's literally the history of... It's
just the history of our survival, the history of the people that made this country through enslavement. But okay, whatever.
So yes, there's some BPS committee members that, like me, are sick of Westie whites. And they both resigned. First only one of them had resigned. I think only the one that had said the shit about the Westie whites had resigned, because the other one was just like, there's about to be mad racism.
Yeah.
What was the exact quote? Because it wasn't even, like, the Westie whites thing, I'm like, alright, I guess that's offensive, whatever. But the other quote wasn't even offensive. It was just like, we're about to deal with mad racism. And I'm like, that is not worth resigning over.
Oh my god.
Me personally, I would have held my ground until they kicked my ass off.
She said, sick of Westie whites. Lorena?
Yeah, Lorna
Rivera texted referring to Boston.
And the other one said,
wait until the white racists start yelling.
That's not.
She said that as well, Rivera.
Oh.
And then the chairwoman, Alexandra Oliveira de Valle, said whatever, they're delusional. Davila? I don't know. Whatever. She resigned, so she don't matter no more. But I don't think either statements of what they said were racist. And what really bothered me is that in the comments for the Globe, in the framing that the Globe did in our homegirl Marcella, she either framed it in a way that I didn't like either. They framed it as that being racist. That is not racist. These are two Latinx women from a position where they've been harassed. Yeah, they're white Latinx, that's another thing, but they're still Latinas in this structure. These are two, like, Latinx women that have, like, I think one of them is from Boston. I think she, Rivera teaches at UMass Boston. I'm just... Also, it's not wrong. These Westie rights are racist, and the thing that they were going up to bat for was keeping the exam school test the same way it is. And it's racist. Like, we know it's a racist exam. We know that it keeps Black and Latinx people out of the exam schools.
I just think like they're first of all saying they're gonna be racist that's not racist.
That's not racist.
Like the Westie whites thing, like I'm sorry, you can't be racist to white people. I don't know how many times you have to say that. Like in a white supremacist society, white people cannot be oppressed. Niggas can talk about how they're sick of Westie whites. Y'all gonna still be walking around complaining,
y'all
being
still
racist.
Gonna be Westie whites.
Y'all still gonna be calling in, talking about how my kid deserved, even though they went to Holy Name for their whole life, they deserve to go to BLS. Like, oh, like say that shit then. Go ahead. Like, this is my thing because whenever, okay, whatever that dude that dude who actually said something racist.
Oh yes, I had the article pulled up. Dang it.
Fucking, like, oh.
He said the things about Asian people.
Like, oh, we're supposed to be like, oh, well, he resigned, so it's only fair. No, it's not fair.
It's not fair,
but it's not fair because
he was actually racist.
There's no systemic. What is the systemic oppression of Westie?
That's what I'm trying to understand.
How are they being oppressed by this chairwoman? Is she ignoring their fucking things?
That's me trying to understand.
Are they unable to speak? Are they being silenced? They're not being silenced. Did she say this to their face? Nah, she texted it. And I'm like, yeah, they should have been transparent. Because if it were me, I would have been fully transparent. I would have tweeted it. I would have said, I'm sick of these Westie whites and their racist shit. And somebody would have been like, oh, they should take her off. I'd be like, take me off because I'm not fucking
resigning.
I'm not resigning. What the hell? No. Because all these people for decades, they can uphold their racism through the school committee. They can uphold all this shit through all these institutions. And we can't even, we're not even dismantling. They just literally were venting. They were upset, venting, tired.
You have these people that legit threaten you, try, like, send you weird messages,
I'm sorry,
talking all out their mouth about you, and you expect me not to be, like,
these Westie
be honest
whites
with yourself. These Westie whites will get up in your face all mad because they want their little Billy Bob to be up in BLS. They want their kid playing hockey at BLS, and that's what they want. And they get mad when a little black kid from Roxbury is in BLS instead of their white kid.
And you know what? Hate to say it, but anybody who's gone to an exam school knows that any kid of color is smarter than any white kid who steps in the building. No, sorry, no. Like, it's very rare. It's very rare because most of them. Sorry to say, it's not that people are not smart, but it's that most of them come from privilege. They come from good private schools. They come from tutors. They come from test prep. And a lot of the rest of us come from come from writing our own flashcards on index cards.
All I know is a homegirl that went to Harvard that was white, the way she got in was by cheating. And the people that I know that went to Carnegie Mellon, that went to Brown, that went to Dartmouth, they was not the cheating mofos. They was the I'm a study and I'm smart mofos. And most of them were Asian, Latino, and black, and the cheatings were white. But that's,
I'm like, listen, sorry. Like, and if you especially if you're in my class in BLA, we know who the smartest people in our class were. I'm not gonna name names, but we all know who the smartest people, male and female, whatever. And but I don't think. Sorry, no, I'm not the smartest one. Sorry, but we all know who the fucking geniuses in that class were, whether it was for one subject or every subject, and it wasn't about studying either. Because we know there's certain motherfuckers who could scroll into a classroom, take a test, and scroll out that classroom and be just fine. Not nary open the book one time.
I loved it.
Vibes. So
it's just they are racist. It's racist to insinuate that this is racist. This is the core issue with the city of Boston, is that we like to make a big deal of these things, but actual racism that is proven and shown to people cannot, they say no. They say, the exam school, the exam itself.
The racism in policy is never, if interpersonal conversational racism, oh my God, it's terrible. Oh my God, I can't believe they call Kyrie a nigger. Oh my God. But, if it's actually like, oh, housing is, inequitable. Oh, black people aren't getting jobs. Oh, they're getting FIO'd by the police 24/7.
They're not getting into exam schools.
They're not getting into exam schools when, their schools are just underfunded and segregated, da-da-da-da-da. When it's any of that, like, it's like, what are you talking about? That's not... you're, in fact, being racist against white people to bring that up, in fact. Like, my thing about exam schools, especially, is that like, I be looking at the people who be saying shit about exam schools and the tests especially, and most of them have never taken that fucking test and didn't go to an exam school. And
it's funny because a great majority of people that graduated from exam schools do not support maintaining the exam schools.
Niggas work at exam schools and graduated from exam schools and still are like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, even, like, half of us only want to maintain the exam schools for nostalgia reasons. We don't even think that it should be the way it is. Like, oh, I forgot that's what I was going to ask you. Anyway. But, like, I'm like, I took the ISCE, like, I went to BLA, I graduated, like, niggas knew people like us were gonna be successful. Like, I need people to understand that that's a privilege within itself. Is being expected to succeed
yes.
is a privilege within itself. There are kids that are just as, like I mentioned, the geniuses in my class. There were kids who went to I can't even think of any fucking school. The Burke,
Fenway.
or who went to Fenway, or who went to Madison or Snowden, who were just as genius, fucking smart as us. But half of these people half of those places, people weren't expecting those people to do well. They weren't expecting them to pass to do great and whatever. And like that is a setback. That's a disadvantage. We want to talk about equalizing outcomes. The fact that BPS looks the way it does and the exam schools look the way they do, that's fucked up, right? It shouldn't be that way. If you're, like, sorry, like, maybe it should be that you shouldn't be allowed to go to an exam school if you weren't in Boston Public Schools. Maybe that should be the thing. Maybe it should be that we just don't have exam schools. Maybe it should be. Like, I just think, like, this, like, we have to be ready to actually shift paradigm, and I'm talking about like, especially like people of color in the city, the privileged people of color, the professionals, the people with property and money, or just even just roots, like, historical standing. We have to be ready to change, because a lot of these people are not ready to change. You ask a bunch of black people, do they think the exam school should change? I bet you a bunch of them will say no. I bet you they say, oh no, it needs to be by merit, it needs to be like this, it needs to, like, because we absorb these systems that are shitty and suck, and we absorb them, and we reproduce them, and we start to believe that they're correct. And I'm like, nah, dog, like,
just nah, dog. That's it.
It'll never make sense, man. We should have test preparatory schools. We should have art schools. We should have technology schools and math schools.
It's just it all doesn't make sense. The fact that BLS has a huge ass what's that thing called? What's the term called? Like endowment. Why do you have an endowment? You're not a college. You're not Harvard.
You're not a private school either.
What's this endowment? Why is it not spread? Like, you're acting wild. It's crazy. There's so many ableist words. God dang. This is mad.
You're acting wild. Wild is fine. I think.
Good. Wild. It's wildness. It just makes no sense, and it's very agitating, because these two people. Well, also the issue is this should be an elected committee, anyways.
It should be. Nobody should be appointed. Nobody should be appointed. Nobody on the school committee should be appointed unless there's some weird way they have to appoint the voting youth members, because that's the only appointment, if you count all the students voting from their schools to appoint people. That's, like, everything else should be elected. Like, it's literally been a vehicle for racism since its inception, and people back then knew it was gonna be a vehicle for racism. Like, who in their right mind thinks the Boston public school system should be fully under the control of the fucking executive branch, basically?
Doesn't make
the
sense.
city when the city is racist. The executive branch is racist. Like, and they were perfectly fine with it being segregated, with it being like. Anyway,
none of it makes sense. They resigned, so they don't matter anymore.
It's
but
whatever,
it was stupid
bro.
that they resigned. They're not racist. Especially the one that barely even responded. That's not racist.
That what she said wasn't racist. Wesley whites are racist. They are racist. Wesley whites are racist, but anything else. National. Well, let's move on to national news. So the head cop in charge, Kamala
the cop,
went to tell Guatemalan folks not to cross the border. It's fucking weird that she even said that. The shit is just
the way she said
racist
it too
as
was
hell.
wild.
Like, that's just weird. But also, ma'am, like why is it okay when she says it, but it's wrong when Donald Trump says it? Like,
because it's not any better that a biracial Indian black woman said it. Nothing is better about it.
Got a whole immigrant dad and whatnot.
A whole immigrant mom and dad.
But like, whatever, ma'am. I just think like, as a person who is representing like the American machine, it's very interesting that you think that people from a region you destabilize should like adhere to your comfort about their lives. And I'm talking about like your continued destabilization, especially through like the drug trade and the fact that you just keep like deposing democratically elected leaders when they don't do things that you want, like give you oil and whatnot. So fuck you, Kamala. See, me personally, I say everybody come across. In fact, I think you should really bring caravan, like, invade. How about that? I think, in fact, that every Central American country should gather up together and just invade this country. That would be fine with me. I'd be still in here, probably. Just like, well, I mean, can it get worse?
Just take back Texas. Take that whole coast side. You can take it back.
I just think that
you don't need it.
I just think that like it would be better if there were a bunch of Guatemalans here versus the people we got to deal with. I would rather have a bunch of random people from anywhere else than most of the Americans in this country. So I don't know. I don't know about that, but can you guys like close the concentration camps on the border? Like, stop telling people to stop coming and like just release the people. In fact, release the people
also,
on the border.
Also, people coming from asylum.
I'm about to say also that's illegal to tell people not to come if they're coming to request asylum, and pretty much all those people are
because
like
their country's destroyed,
and most of them are crossing like legally. If you cross the border, that's the only way. I have a question, ma'am. How do they think people are gonna get into the country if not going over a border? You're either gonna fly into the country or you're gonna walk into the country. Or maybe you're gonna sail into a boat and land on a port and go into the country. That's the only way to get in. You have to cross a border. Like, it's not illegal. It's actually not illegal to cross the border seeking asylum. That's not illegal at all. You're actually not supposed to be detained for it. Like, that's illegal to detain people for it. And it's illegal to just turn people away without giving them like, a hearing for asylum. Like, so I just need people to understand that part of it, because like these people are not breaking the law at all. And if they were breaking the law, who gives a fuck? The law's wrong. If they were breaking the law, but they're not breaking the law. And Kamala Harris is upholding imperialism, and she's a racist, and she's upholding white supremacy, and she's been said that she said America is not a racist country. Ridiculous, absurd. Like,
this what we this not what we
the
get. The lesser
we didn't want
it,
of two evils.
This what we get.
And listen, all the people who is very big mad at me for saying, listen, but Joe Biden, he's why do we think he's gonna do anything he says? Why is it okay for him to say you're not black if you don't vote for me? Like, why are these things fine? Why is it okay? But they were like, it is okay. It's fine. He's gonna do it. We can push him. He's left. He's da-da-da. It's better. What about Trump?
You got bamboozled.
And now I'm like, so he's supplying weapons to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
There are still concentration camps on the border.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a $15 minimum wage.
Student loans.
Student loans have not been canceled, which he could do him own self. They're not going to get rid of the filibuster, which we'll go to next. Joe Biden actually isn't even pushing for that much. His infrastructure bill is not going to pass because they're not going to get rid of the filibuster. None of his bills are going to pass. And then the Democrats are going to lose the 2022 elections, and then they're going to lose the 2024 election. So where is the lesser of the evils here? I'm missing it. Because how we, to be honest, you leave Donald Trump in, we probably would have been imploded by now.
It would have actually probably been better. The revolutionary could have sped up.
You're an accelerationist. You're an accelerationist. I'm gonna go tweet about how I'm just an accelerationist on Twitter.
I'm an agent of chaos.
You're what's the word? Chaotic neutral. You might be chaotic good, but I think you're probably chaotic neutral. Accelerationist.
It's just at this point, like shit. What was even the point?
I mean, Joe Biden.
My finger hurts so much from saying all those damn.
It's funny. There's acceleration on the other side. Joe Biden accelerated their crazy, the right wing. I mean, they're wild nuts in their heads. The right wing people. That's accelerationist on their ends.
I've decided I'm gonna just make the meme faces.
So yeah. But anyway, Joe Manchin this ugly ass boy.
Manchin?
He's the senator from West Virginia, and he has been.
You remember these old white man names very well. I know from watching those Young Turks and things, but
I don't even watch that much anymore. But this is from watching the Young Turks mostly because they've been talking about Joe Manchin because he's been the most outspoken about how he's not going to get rid of the filibuster, and he loves democracy. He wants to work in bipartisanship and do bipartisanship with his Republican friends and colleagues, and there are Republicans with a conscience, and he thinks that he has at least 7 Republican friends who are willing to vote with their conscience.
Okay, Mitt Romney, who else?
Listen, he's talking about the people who voted for the fucking commission on January 6th. It's only 7 of them. He was like, we have 7 Republican friends, cool, they need 10 to pass anything. So there's that, and the only thing they voted on, yes, was the fucking commission for January 6th. And I just want to be clear that all those people, they were coming, like, they were all like, Trump supporters and stuff like that, but they were coming to kill everybody in there. They weren't like, it wasn't like specifically Democrats, like they were coming to kill every Republican who wasn't gonna let it go.
My favorite part of that day is that Republicans thought they were safe.
I'm like, Marjorie Taylor Greene was safe. Maybe
yes,
Matt Gaetz might have been safe.
In on it.
Right, those people might have been
allegedly
safe. But like, the rest of Mitt Romney was not safe. Mitt Romney was in danger.
I'm like, you guys know that
Kevin McCarthy was in danger. Freaking Mike Pence.
Even you guys are further. Like, you guys are far from the people that you guys know that. Hey, okay.
They think they can bow to Trump enough. I'm like, you can't, like, you can't, that's peak. You can't.
It's funny because these are people that are very, like, prideful and stuff, but they can't, just bowing over to this man,
yeah, right.
bending the knee or whatever to Donald Trump, letting their values get denigrated and denigrated.
Values, yes, values. Lindsey Graham. Nah, but Joe Manchin. So listen, there's actually at least, like, they say, well, at most there's 10 Democrats who agree with Joe Manchin. We know Kristen Sinema from Arizona, and the annoying ass bitch who did it.
No,
but there's a bunch of them who voted.
Is it these people?
No. It was there's Jan. What's that bitch name?
If there were names in his article. But
no, because they're letting Joe Manchin take all the heat for sounding nuts.
Okay.
So Joe Manchin actually went to talk to Chris Wallace, and for some reason, Chris Wallace, like, you guys know every once in a while, I think Chris Wallace, truly actually cares about journalism for some reason.
Yes, every once in a while he does want to be known as a real journalist.
Even though he's sitting at Fox News and anyway. But Chris Wallace was like, bro, Biden saying that you will never vote to get rid of the filibuster. are you not giving up all your leverage to the Republicans? Chris Wallace asked this. Chris Wallace on Fox News. They were on Fox News. Asked, are you not giving up all your leverage to the Republicans by saying point blank you will never vote for the filibuster? Because why would they ever deal with you? I mean, vote to remove the filibuster. Because why would they ever deal with you if they know they'll never have to deal with you? And he was like, no, I don't think I'm being naive. Because he was like, no, because there were 7, like I said, he said there were 7, blah, 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 all that, da, da, da. He's like, but you know they're not going to vote with you, though. But, like, Mitch McConnell literally said he's not going to vote with you, bro. And Mitch is like, I don't believe that. I'm like, you don't believe that Mitch McConnell isn't going to... Why don't you believe that? You don't believe that Mitch McConnell's telling the truth that he's not going to vote for any of Joe Biden's agenda? Why don't you believe? Because that's literally what he did for the entire Obama presidency. What do you mean? What's not believable about that? Like, I'm like, Joe, like, it's like, Joe, anyway, so the progressives got mad. Jamal Bowman went on MSNBC and AOC went on, I think, MSNBC as well. But Jamal Bowman was like, it's because H.R. 1, the bill that they're trying to pass, the For the People Act that would reform voting rights and do a lot of stuff around voting and elections and stuff like that, because it has anti-corruption measures in it, and it would expose dark money, and obviously we know corporate Democrats, corporate Republicans, they all take the same dark money. So Joe Manchin has a vested interest in maintaining the status quo, just like Joe Biden. And Kristen Sinema and all the rest of them who get money from these people. Like who's confused by that? And that's the best part about it is that, like, in West Virginia, it's like even 66% of Trump supporters agree with the For the People Act. Because nobody agrees with corruption unless you're fucking rich, unless it's benefiting you. Nobody wants the political system corrupted. Nobody wants dark money in politics. Nobody wants that. So... basically, I just want to say, like, the Democrats have never been the lesser of the two evils because they uphold the same systems that the Republicans build on and maintain. They never do anything to make any sort of shifts. And the thing about the filibuster that kills me is that, like, it's not even in the Constitution. It's literally just a Senate rule that has mainly, if not only, been used to uphold white supremacy and anti-civil rights. And, like, a lot of people are saying Joe Manchin supports Jim Crow, and, like, I don't know what else you could say beyond that, because there's like the filibuster is why we don't have any anti-lynching measures. The filibuster is why the Voting Rights Act, the 1965 Voting Rights Act or whatever year it was, has been basically, like, fucking cut down to nothing, where it actually doesn't protect voting rights at all. Like, I will never believe any Democrat that they want to get anything done unless they want to get rid of the filibuster. And Joe Biden doesn't want to get rid of the filibuster.
They don't want to do anything. They want to keep the systems that be. This is what people voted for. They voted to keep everything the same. And
you know what? The only thing it's going to do is make a better, smarter Donald Trump, probably Tucker Carlson. In 2024,
we gonna have a fun time. You know what? We're not gonna be here. Let me not lie.
And anyway, I mean, so think all those senators. There's a bunch of them. I don't know the rest of their names. I know Kristen Sinema, Joe Manchin. There's fucking Jeanne Shaheen.
Jeanne Shaheen from New Hampshire.
Yeah, I think it was fucking Jeanne Shaheen.
How you spell Jeanne Shaheen?
It's a J-E-A-N.
Oh.
I think.
Like that.
No, J-E-A-N, and then S-H.
Found it. Shaheen. From Missouri? Oh, no. Okay, New Hampshire. I was like, why I said Missouri?
I think Jeanne Shaheen.
Since 2009.
Jeanne Shaheen voted against... Did
you know that did you ever see Jeanne Shaheen's ad? I felt like we got them a lot. And I felt like they weren't targeted properly when we were kids.
A lot of... we used to get a lot.
So we used to get a lot of New Hampshire ads.
We used to get a lot of New Hampshire ads for like,
that was
all
fun.
The time.
I know it's because we share the same, like, channel basis as New Hampshire, but it was very fun. Because I was like, Jeanne Shaheen, this bitch not from Massachusetts. Why I care about who she running? What's she running for? Just New England things. But yeah, Democrats not going to do shit. Democrats love Jim Crow. Democrats love racism. and upholding systematic everything.
So in international news, some dude in Algeria smacked Macron, the French president, and I agree. Everybody on Twitter was like, "Yeah, for Algeria." I saw some Algerian dude was like, "Yeah, Haiti's next, bro. They got him. They got him in Haiti next." Because I think he's doing like a tour around the world or whatever. Is he going to all like the colonies?
Like the former colonists?
I feel like that's what he might be doing. But don't those European powers do that sometimes?
Yeah, they do.
But I just hope they're gonna try to like probably keep him away from people. Now I need all of y'all former French colonies. Everybody needs somebody in every former French colony needs to take one for the team and give Macron a little something. Like
give him a little 2-piece.
Give him a little
little Roxbury special.
Right, exactly. And it reminded me of that time. You know. Before I say, thinking of this made me say for sure that no one can ever say that I'm exaggerating my involvement in politics as a small child. I mean, obviously my mom is here to back me up, but no one can ever say that because I know so many fucking random nuanced things from that. I remember so much news coverage from that era. But it reminded me of that time the Iraqi reporter threw both of his shoes at George W. Bush. It was very funny because George Bush, I think, did the first one hit him? The second one definitely did. He dodged one of them for sure. But I feel like the first one might have grazed him.
Ooh, and a loop.
Ooh, a loop. I want to see it over and over again. He was like, ugh.
Yeah, one.
He blocked it. Boo.
Look at this man. Yeah, it was very reminiscent. Frenchy man, macaroon, whatever his name is. Nobody really cares. He's a horrible
He's
person.
a jerk. He's terrible. And the only reason, why the French people get the shit they want? Because they burn shit down. They go out there. When Macron was trying to do that shit about the labor, wasn't he trying to do some shit?
Yes, they were trying to change some
labor law
within their pay.
Yeah, with some labor law. All those French people said no.
Them French were ready to burn up the city.
They said no. This is literally 18. What year was that? 1825, 1817, 1807. What? 1780. Really? Anyway, they said yes. This is 1789. This is the French Revolution. We're gonna burn this shit down. It was 1789.
I guess because then it's.
You know what I was thinking of? Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I was thinking of 1832. Didn't it happen in 1832? Please tell me it happened in 1832.
The Haitian Revolution?
Yes.
No, it was 1801 or 1804, something like that. Or 18. Oh shit, I forgot.
Which one happened in 1832? Somebody's revolution.
Yeah, 1801.
Somebody's revolution in 1804.
1804, sorry. Numbers.
1791 to 1804. Somebody's revolution happened in 1832. Maybe that was when no, that was later. Anyway,
it was an uprising in Paris.
See, I knew something happened in France in 1832.
You know the French pop off. It was in June too. June 5th to 7th.
I told you I know things sometimes. Okay? I know things sometimes. I thought there was a pop culture thing I think I wanted to
The Floyd Mayweather fight. Kind of, but what were you going to cover about it? They both made hella money to
that he did knock him out that time and had to hold him up.
He made sure that man didn't fall.
He knocked him out.
Also, Floyd Mayweather's starting to look like his dad a lot now because he's getting old. And it makes me so sad because now he's old. And I'm like, oh my god, Floyd Mayweather's like actually old now. It makes me so uncomfortable.
He knocked fucking Logan Paul. Is it Logan Paul?
Yes.
He knocked Logan Paul out.
I think.
And they can tell. I like how they kept DMCA in the fucking all the clips on Twitter. I'm like, stop it. We all saw it happen. I'm like, if you pay-per-viewed a fight between Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul,
$50.
You're out of your mind because you knew how it was gonna end. I know they didn't have a winner, but come on, Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Like, who thought y'all thought Floyd Mayweather was gonna get fucked up? Y'all thought it was gonna be a contest.
The only good part was to listen to Deezus and Mero, but a lot of people struggled to actually have the Showtime app was crashing because too many people were trying to watch it.
I didn't even get to do that. So,
I didn't even.
although, do I still have Showtime? Sometimes I think my mom accidentally clicks things, and then sometimes I'll be paying for like PBS Masterpiece and shit, and I'll be like, oh, well, I'll delete that next month. And then sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I don't know, pop culture bill.
Yeah, but I thought I had something about like just about like actual, you know, like our sociological conversations we be having sometimes.
Oh, we never discussed the tweets behind us.
Oh, okay. So I like my friend over here, Curry, talking about why would a BPD officer walk up to my car to flirt? Like, sorry, I like niggas with illegal guns. Thank you. But I will say though, however, I will say,
let a fine one come up to me. He's stealing some of that evidence money. Go.
I don't think I haven't. I will say, you know, there are some cute BPD officers. Some of them are cute. Some of them have really nice tattoos and shit. Whatever.
I be vibing.
But there are not that many tall ones.
But also ACAB.
ACAB, that. Fuck the police and not in that way. Fuck the police in the real way. In the real fuck the police way. And not in the, like, you know, the police, but actually, like, fuck them. But, like,
But also.
No, but like the thing is, like they be cute, but they don't be tall. They all be short, and they all seem like they have short man syndrome.
They're all 5'9" and 5'10". I don't know why.
No, but they all seem like they have short man syndrome. They all seem angry about it, and that's what I can't, get behind.
I can't. Yeah.
But that's just cop behavior. They're all angry in general.
Yes.
And I will say every BPD officer is a horny fucking bastard. And you know what?
Ew, they are.
And you know what? Even when I was a teenager, they were kind of horny bastards.
No memories in my brain. I need to delete them.
Even when I was a teenager, doing teenage things as a youth organizer, they were kind of horny bastards. The cops, the adult cops.
Let Carnival come by and BPD. They make sure that D is.
Somebody was like, I remember we came to a group, and they were like, yeah, somebody's like, well, yeah, we saw the nanny at the carnival, the cop that we be doing our little police dialogue with at carnival, whatever. And we danced with him, whatever. And my white boss was like, yeah, that's so nice. Me like, she danced with this cop at carnival. Y'all know what kind of dance they do at carnival? That's the dances y'all actually called inappropriate. In fact, y'all called it inappropriate. Said it wasn't appropriate for work. And this adult cop danced with a 20-year-old. Dance with a 20-year-old at carnival. While he was on duty as well. That's the other thing too.
That's my favorite part.
He was on duty.
They'll be on duty and somebody grow, and they're like.
It doesn't help that every cop all those cops who take extra like who take overtime. Mm-hmm. Most of them are from like the gang unit or those type of units, and all those cops are freaking Cape Verdean or Haitian or like all of them. So I'll just say like, yeah. I prefer legal guns, yes.
But also, police officers shouldn't carry guns, so they're also niggas with illegal guns in my eyes.
They use them for illegal things.
Correct.
So, but also the second tweet was that Charlie Baker wouldn't last 5 minutes in a market basket in Chelsea, which is just true. Like that's just objectively true. And the other tweet below it, which I also agreed with, was that Charlie Baker wouldn't last 5 minutes in Chelsea in general.
Also correct.
Which is true.
Would not last.
But no, let's talk about that Chelsea market basket because that place is scary, it's dangerous. And Charlie Baker, even with his 6'5" ass, would be. He'd probably get mowed down, bro.
He would get lost. Look, had it been like 7-8 years ago, my great grandmother was still alive, she would mow him down. She would have that Chelsea market basket. She would have
been taking him down like fucking like a linebacker. Like
at 80-something.
Let him stand in the way in front of something you trying to get, bro. Let him be standing in the way near the fucking, near the seafood section when we trying to be in line. I'm trying to grab this shit and he's in the. Let him be in the way.
Let him be in the way.
His big self. I will shove that man so quick.
What are you doing in the way?
Move. No, it's like I just don't think like Charlie Baker. I understand why he doesn't really go places or like ride the T anything because I feel like he just don't fit. He would look like Where's Waldo, bro. Like imagine you see somebody like Charlie Baker sitting on the train, bro. You just look at the whole time. You just look at him like what the fuck. Like why are you here, bro?
What are you doing?
Like what the fuck is wrong? Like you're not tall and gross. Get out of here.
It's
like
true.
anyway, that's the end. We just saying anything
That's all she
now.
wrote.
We just talking shit now. All right. Somebody's watching on YouTube.